By the way, before we get going too
Mm-hmm.
much, you and I were just talking about some issues that we were having. I was going to tell you, I think I have a problem with sugar. Like, I think I have an addiction to sugar. Like, I need
I
to talk to,
100% do.
like, so I just came home. Well, we all just got home just a couple days ago, right? So I'm
Yeah.
home last night, and when we're on the road, I'm actually okay because we'll just go out to a sports bar or go out to dinner, or whatever. And I come back to my room, and
Yeah.
there's nothing in there. There's no peanut M&Ms. There's no York peppermint patties. There's no Halloween candy left over from 2 months ago.
Yeah.
there's no Christmas cookies. There's nothing like that. But when I come home, I got an issue. Like, seriously, like, so we finished dinner last night, and I feel like I'm like a smoker or like someone with a drinking problem because I wait for everyone to leave and I just raid the cookies.
100%.
I
I am.
had 4 of these butterball, but I don't even know what they are, cookies. And then I dove into the peppermint bark, the dark chocolate
Yeah.
peppermint bark. Like, I can't stop myself. And then the problem is that 20 minutes later, I feel like shit. My stomach hurts. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Because I have a huge sugar.
Yeah.
I don't know what to
Yeah.
do. So I was talking to Michelle.
I told you before. Yeah. Yeah.
And she said that there is a way mentally to get past that. But I enjoy it so much. I don't know if I want to get past it.
Well, she actually gave me a process to go through because my thing is soda, which is still sugar, and that's I don't like
But do you
diet
feel like
sodas.
you're addicted to it though?
Oh, 100%, 100%. I mean, the amount of weight I could probably lose just giving up soda, right? Probably minimum 10 to 15 pounds, and
That's
I
what
just
they
can't,
say.
and I can't do it. I've tried, and Michelle gave me this process, and it's an actually interesting thought process to go through. It's not so much about prohibition of it. It's actually getting so much of it that you learn to kind of wean yourself off in a way. And it's just, you have to have a strong willpower to do that. I mean, I think one of the problems people realize when they deal with people like me or someone else that has an issue like that, it's not, it's a willpower issue because it's not
exactly.
It's not a physical addiction. I mean, you're not going to die of withdrawal if he's quit, pounding soda or eating M&Ms. It's not going to happen. You might feel bad for a couple of weeks, because you don't have all that sugar, but I just can't. I just find myself last night, same thing, DoorDashed Baskin Robbins.
Wow.
I mean, that's like calling a drug dealer, right?
Okay, that I have not done. Okay, now you're making me feel better about myself.
Yeah. Always come to me if you want to feel better about yourself.
Although now that I know that you can do that. All right, so here's what I did. So I read this thing last night because I couldn't sleep, and I read that your brain, it actually takes your brain about 20 minutes longer to process that you're full and that you don't need it. So it's your because it's your brain.
Yeah.
You can eat a meal, and this probably goes along to what Michelle's talking about. You can eat a meal and have enough to survive, but your brain keeps telling you that you need more.
Yep.
Your brain keeps telling you that you need something because it takes your brain about 15, 20 minutes longer to catch up that you're actually that you're physically actually full.
Mm-hmm.
So today I just tried walking away from the table at lunch, and sure enough, it kind of worked actually.
Yeah,
but you have to find something else to do. But again, it goes back to what you're talking about, Bernie, and you're dead on right about this. And that's why I feel like I joke, but not really. It does. It feels like an addiction because my willpower for it, and it's sugar. It's like I feel so stupid even talking about it. But I don't know.
I think Americans, because so much of our food contains so much sugar, right?
Yeah.
So much processed sugar. We don't even think about the amount of corn syrup and kind of stuff that's put in our foods and
it's terrible
as Americans. Yeah. And so I think Americans are completely addicted to sugar. I'm just on the high end of it. And I did this once before. I actually cut it once before, and I had to drink one because I'm not a coffee drinker. I had to have something of caffeine because that actually did go through some pretty intense like headaches and withdrawals when I cut that cold turkey. But I had to have like one soda in the morning just to not have that happen. And I was able to do that. And then just, drink 80 ounces or 100 ounces of water a day, and it worked. But that was 20 years ago. And it's so much more difficult now. I'm going through the process
I feel like
now.
that's it too. The older we get.
Yeah.
Hey, have you heard of and I'm glad we're talking about this because it reminds me. Have you heard of Celsius?
Yes.
Okay,
I haven't
I don't
had
know.
them.
I know. With some of your other issues, I'm not sure you can have it, but the kids like it. And Marlon, who does a lot of PR work, obviously for the league, he does PR work for Celsius. So he actually sent me a case of it, and I'm going to try it this week. I've got to be careful with caffeine because caffeine doesn't do my body very well.
Yeah.
But I've heard it's great, and maybe that's something that, and I don't think it has any sugar. So maybe try Celsius.
Yeah, he was trying to push that on me last time I saw him. Actually, he was definitely like giving me the whole pitch on Celsius. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know one way or the other.
Kids absolutely love it.
Oh yeah. So
So
what is
yeah,
it? It's just a soda.
yeah. You know what? I'll take a look at it this week, and I'll tell you. But no, it's not a soda. It's like a healthy. It's like because like Derek, my son, he used to drink those Monster energy drinks,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure those are the best for you. Going back to sugar. I mean, I don't know much about them, so I hate to bag on Monster.
Right.
But it's supposed to be like one of those healthy. It's like better for you than Red Bull, better for you than Monster. It's like a healthy version of those with either low or zero sugar. I'll find out more about it, but that might be an option for you.
Yeah, I actually drink. Somehow I got myself okay drinking unsweetened or sugar-free Red Bull, and I actually enjoyed the taste of it. Don't ask me how I did it, but that was like the first Red Bulls I drank in volume, and so Red Bull's kind of my go-to for caffeine and for energy. Like most people, it's coffee.
Yeah, I know
right?
it is. I know you love it. Yeah.
But you can have too much, and it's not so much the caffeine; it's the taurine and the guarine and the other things that are in there that you really aren't supposed to have massive amounts of, especially at our age. You know.
Right. All right. Let's make a pact. Let's try it. Let's
I'm trying, man. I am.
Accountable.
I'm trying.
Well, I'll try and work with you. I mean, because I don't have a problem with soda.
I know. I feel like a child. I don't know anyone else my age that suffers with soda.
No, like you are far from alone. I mean, there are millions of people who. My brother used to be addicted to Diet Mountain Dew.
Oh,
he's
there
an
you
accountant,
go.
So he's an accountant, so he needs to be up and at it early, and he's not a coffee drinker, so he would just pound Diet Mountain Dew. So
I mean, Josh Keck's all in on regular Mountain Dews. That guy drinks a case a day. It seems like during the tournaments.
The radio announcer for Coastal Carolina, every time I do a Coastal basketball game, he's got a big old Mountain Dew right next to him. He needs it for the game,
and it's delicious.
Yeah. What the hell are we talking about, by the way? We just
I don't know.
7 minutes.
We got to talk about the draft, by the way.
Yeah. All right. So, have you recovered from Myrtle Beach? I finally.
I think so.
I actually played golf yesterday. Don't ask me what I shot. Whatever par was, we went to Kiowa because again I got a couple.
Oh, which one?
Well, you know Nate. You know Nate.
Yeah.
Ross.
Which one did you play?
So we same one. Oak Point. We play there.
Okay. Yeah.
That's just an easy one to get on. So.
Sure.
But whatever par is, I'm sure I shot double. I probably shot 150. but it was great just to get out and kind of escape.
It's just great to get to Kiowa, period, right? I love that place.
So today I just kind of spent time before we came on just kind of absorbing what happened in Myrtle Beach. I mean, dude, I was exhausted. I mean, that was like 4 straight days of just college cornhole, high school cornhole, which I didn't have too much to do with. The pro shootout, and then the team's draft. I mean, what a freaking weekend! That was awesome, man.
That was impressive. By the way, I have to say this: I got a phone call or a text message that became a phone call or anyway from Trevor Brooks, and he wanted to set the record straight about the Carolina team and some of the basically. I don't want to get all into the conversation that was had because I think everyone deserves some discretion, but basically he was kind of showing like this was our idea. This was the thought process. And listening to him tell the story, I mean, you can tell it was very regimented. They were making real decisions. It wasn't just fly by the seat of your pants. I mean, I said on the broadcast, we talked about it. I like their team.
I do too.
I don't think Trey Ryder likes him the way that we do. I think he's all in on Kentucky, maybe a couple others. But I think
Kentucky too.
I think they have so much flexibility if they want to make more trades. They already made another one, not necessarily a trade, but they picked up another player and dropped one in waivers yesterday. They got rid of Matthew Morton, and I can't remember who they picked up because my brain.
By the way, before we go too far, for Jade and others out there who maybe don't know what we're talking about, so cornhole this year actually had a draft for the second time. Now, last year, and we've talked about this a little bit on the show. Last year there were 16 teams, and all the teams were just kind of. It was a great. What I would call a beta year. It's just for me, it was a great way to just kind of test teams. It's kind of like college golf and college tennis. You pit your best 4 teams against the other team's 4 teams, and whoever wins, Well, it's 7 in cornhole, but
Right.
whatever. So you pit your best 7 teams against the other team's best 7 teams, and whoever wins the most wins the match.
Yeah.
So it was a great way to kind of beta test it last year. Then all of a sudden this year, again, for those who don't know, it exploded. I mean, we're talking about legit draft, like 16 teams from 16 cities or regions. So I mean, we've got teams from California, we've got teams from Chicago, we've got teams in Florida, we've got teams in Texas. I mean, up in Pennsylvania, Ohio. I mean, so 16 of the biggest areas / cities now have teams. 16 players on each one. 3 players were pre-filled for each team. So we just had the draft last weekend, and each team had to draft 13 additional players. And we went through the whole thing. We had draft coverage, we had cameras, we had analysts, we had the big board with Anthony. By the way, shout out to Anthony Ione, rock star. Dude was freaking money.
Killed it
on that. Yeah, and Michelle running around doing some interviews. But it was like legit. I mean, it was a legit draft. And shout out to Trey and Wally producing everything. But man, I mean, it really the war room. It was great.
Yeah, and to you, when you were carrying me, my sick bay self was just sitting there, just trying to get through. So you guys were carrying me along. You had to get tired dragging me through the hours there, but it was actually kind of fun. Oddly enough, sometimes work can be work and it can be kind of stressful, but that was fun actually.
I agree. You know, a lot of people came up to me, and I'm sure to you and everybody else, and said, "Man, what a grind! Wow, great job." To me, it was like broadcasting a baseball game. I could have kept going. Yeah. Honestly, like with a good baseball game, I'll broadcast a baseball game into 15 innings if it's a good game. And I kind of felt the same way. I was kind of geeked up. I mean, the only problem is you know, we obviously run out of information on some of the players because they become a little bit obscure. But still, it was really fun to see them build their teams. Have you gone through? Like, I actually went through.
I've gone through most of them. I haven't given like a really true deep dive. I mean, I've got the 2 or 3 that I really like, maybe 4. I haven't gone to the point where, like, Nate Boyer, for example, on social was like trying to get a hot take on who I thought did poorly in the draft. I was like, I'm not going there. You know, I'll give you the ones that I kind of liked, but I'm not going to give you the ones. I do like that,
like in the NFL where they have winners and losers.
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't do. I just before we came on, I did. I don't know if you're interested in this or not. I did quickly jot down a top 5. I mean, again, you know, this is just me going through, literally scrolling through, kind of, you know, trying to recall what happened and some of the teams and some of the connections on the teams. I did jot down a top 5, and I'm with you, Bernie. I've got Carolina as my number 1. I really like what they did. And again, this is just first glance. I haven't done a deep dive into this, but I've got Carolina number 1, Kentucky number 2. Then it gets real tough after there. I've got Ohio, believe it or not, the Aviators as my number 3. The Woodchucks. I mean, Jimmy Humans, Kyle Malone. It had to be number 4, and then number 5. I mean, again, it gets really tough. Pennsylvania Ringers and the Michigan Marauders. Kind of
you don't have Kentucky in your top 5.
No, they were my number 2.
Oh, you're number 2. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
Carolina was number 1. Kentucky was number 2. I think I said that. Maybe I didn't.
Yeah, I think you did. You did. I think
so
maybe
that was kind of my top 5.
Maybe I would switch the top 2. Maybe I think it's 1A. I mean, it's 1 and 1A for me.
Yeah.
But some people don't
really
like, you know, Carolina in some respects. You can look at it and say, well, you know, it's a team of what ifs, right? You know, do you get 2020 Derek King? Do you get 2020 Mike Harvey? Well, I don't necessarily. I mean, you're going to get good play out of them, but you also have flexibility within that team for more trades. Yeah. It seems like a team that's built that they can maneuver things. They can actually use it, and the captains and the vice captains, and we have to give a shout out to the directors that are team managers for each team that are going through there and kind of helping develop those teams and those rosters. I think there's movement capability there, and I think you've got 13 people that have broadcast experience and round limit experience on Carolina, which is one reason why I like them. I mean, you've got some teams that don't have that have people on there that have very little, if any, of that. And it's going to matter at some point. It's going to help that you've been there before and know how to play under those circumstances. So that's why you could tell there was a lot of thought, put it that way.
Yeah, and I loved it. And again, for those who didn't get a chance to watch or those who don't follow cornhole, on a daily basis or weekly basis, like we obviously do. There literally was a war room with
Oh
16
yeah.
tables. They had a mini cornhole board with each one of the teams. By the way, if you want to go, I mean, go to iPlayACL
Yep. I play
.com,
ACL.com.
iPlayACL.com. Go to the team's website and check out. Davis Streaker is behind all the graphics, the
Awesome.
gear and the swag for all these teams. I don't know what your favorite logo is, but I love the coaster. I love the Carolina coasters. I love the California Slingers
Yes,
and the
the
California
bear.
bear that's
We
on
talked
there.
about Michigan Marauders. I think it's a pretty cool
Yeah, the
logo.
Marauders is cool, and I mean, there's some really great swag if you want to find some unique gear to wear.
The Georgia Sliders,
cool.
Also a team that I thought did pretty well, but it's so hard to say, right? Because we haven't played yet. I mean, it's all what ifs. I mean, I think the reason people like Kentucky so much is they were able to get, here it is, the dreaded word, they were able to get so much value out of their picks, right? Yeah. They got people in later rounds that probably deserve to go a couple of rounds higher. Does that mean they're going to play well, though? You know what I mean? Like, we don't know yet. So it's hard, but I'm with you. I like Carolina and Kentucky probably as
I really did.
as my top two.
I thought they really stood out. So teams was awesome. So let's transition into our guest today. Another huge event that was televised over the weekend on ESPN. I think was it ESPN2? I think we were.
Yes.
That we were on.
ESPN2
was the college singles national championship. Yes, we're talking about the college championship of cornhole.
Yep.
In singles and in doubles. And in doubles, we thought we'd kind of focus on doubles because the SEC, which is really good at football, we all know that. Apparently they're good at basketball too. How about Alabama in basketball? This is like back-to-back years now. Like, what's going on down there? But apparently the SEC has gotten really good at cornhole. Auburn won it 2 years ago. Tennessee won it last year. And this year, another SEC team dominated it. So basically, we started with 50 teams. Roughly 50 college teams that were basically the finalists who qualified to go to Myrtle Beach for the doubles national championship. Then we got down to the final 8 teams that represented 6 different schools. So we had Oklahoma State, Adrian College, which is a great story.
Yes, 100%.
Southwest Christian University, South Carolina, Towson, and Georgia Southern. So those 6 schools had 8 teams. Adrian College out of Michigan, small school. They actually have a full-time cornhole head coach.
How awesome is that? Is that not the greatest thing ever?
Seriously, what the hell is going on?
A paid faculty member that is a coach of cornhole. That is awesome.
So we went from 50 all the way down to 8. Then we got to our final 4, and it was just so much fun. And so we thought, just like we did last year, we would bring on the 2022 National Doubles Cornhole Champions, which went to the University of South Carolina. So again, the SEC now has won 3 straight years in the doubles national championship. So as we continue here on BoarderLine, we are pleased to be joined by the champions themselves, Avery Snipes and Angel Camarena. Hey guys.
Yes, sir.
Awesome to have you guys on, and congratulations on the win. That was so much fun. And you know what made it fun too is that with all due respect to Oklahoma State, who you guys beat, they had a pretty good crowd. They had some players who traveled. But because this event was in Myrtle Beach, obviously you had some Gamecocks who were there, and I heard the Gamecocks.
Oh yeah, it was loud.
You guys basically had I mean, Avery, you guys you loved it. You were hyping up. You basically had home court advantage.
Right. I mean, we're right here in South Carolina. Obviously, if we were coastal Carolina, it would be an even bigger. But I mean, it was fantastic, and I mean, I was feeding off of it, and I think Angel was too, and I think it was getting into other teams' heads a little bit, but they were trying to drown it out. I forget the guy's name for what was it, Southwest Christian or whatever, the semifinals that we played.
Dalton Herrera and
Zane.
Zane. I was playing against Zane, and he had the big earmuff headphones, and I could hear his music when we would bend down and pick up the bag, and he was trying to drown it out, but I don't know which was hurting him worse, having the music up so loud or the Gamecocks and all that stuff.
I have to know real quick, there was one particular voice in that crowd. It's either one of y'all's girlfriend, sister, somebody with the highest pitch scream I think I've ever heard. Do y'all remember hearing that? Because there were some high pitches in there. Glass was breaking behind us every time that you threw. If you threw a 4-bagger, literally windows were shattering.
I think Avery can tell you who that was.
Yeah, it was definitely my girlfriend.
Was it really?
Yes, that was the same voice that you heard the next day on the team event.
Yeah, that's true. So you guys not only win the doubles national championship, then there was also a teams competition the next day. So you guys also won teams. And ironically enough, again, it came down to you guys in Oklahoma State, and you guys won that. But hey, Angel, I mean, how exciting was that? To be on national TV representing your school. I mean, were there many nerves? Were you more excited? What was the dynamic like on the court for you?
I think you can probably ask just about anyone that I talked to leading up to the tournament. Every time I brought it up, like I just felt like I wanted to jump out of my seat. I was so excited. I've been excited since last year. Obviously, last year me and Avery played, and it wasn't exactly how we went. And so from then on, I just decided to go full on into like basically perfecting my craft, just like anybody else would at this level. And going in, the expectations were high, and it was to make a broadcast at first. And after we did, it was to obviously win the whole thing. And we did that. And then obviously going into teams the next day, we had to turn right back around and refocus. And I mean, what more can you ask for? I mean, 2 out of 3 on the weekend. Obviously, me and Avery both had a chance to do, the trifecta, which would have been awesome. But both ran into, at the college level, there's some tough competition out there. You got Chris Fagan, Cole Brewer, the boys from Townsend College, Georgia Southern. They're all great players, and I got a chance to meet everyone. A whole lot of new people this weekend, and great players, even better people. So overall, I would say it was a pretty good weekend.
Hey, Angel, real quick. I mean, what was it like? Like, what was the journey like for you guys that day? Because it's a long day of trying to battle through everybody to get to the final 8 to get to that broadcast. Did you guys have any close calls? I mean, how difficult was it to get just through the day?
Honestly, in rounders, we had actually lost to Jake Brannon and Zach Owings, and we knew going in that was probably going to be the best team in the tournament, and that was probably going to be who we thought was going to end up playing in the championship. Obviously Oklahoma State, those guys, just came out of nowhere. But, we did well in rounders. And then actually, funny enough, our first game, we went down big early. And then, we showed our knit and grit, and we battled all the way back. And I think actually in a couple of those games, we went down pretty early, and then, just showed we basically just showed how much trust we have in one another to be able to bounce back from an early setback and still manage to get the job done.
Guys, playing where you play. So you're in South Carolina. So you're in the Carolinas region, which everyone knows that follows professional cornhole is one of the toughest regions. Well, you guys get to see some of those folks quite a bit if you're playing in local tournaments. Do you think that helps you being a college player? You don't necessarily have the time when you're in school. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but to really dedicate yourself to the game. So when you go to these blind draws or what have you, does it help being in a region like that where you get to see some of the best players in the world just in your local tournaments?
I'll let you take that one.
Well, yeah, I would say for me, I travel, all over the state. I go down to Aiken, where Avery hosts their league every week, up to Rock Hill at the HQ, obviously, the HQ, and you got some big hitters, pros, one of the most stacked regionals in the country. And it definitely helps because some of the people that I've met over the last year or so, the pros in general, have given me tips and pointers on how to get better. And those I've really taken, to heart in perfecting my craft over the last year. And so it helps tremendously, playing against high competition like that, because in my opinion, you can't get better if you don't play people better than you. So, it absolutely, it helps 100%.
All right, Avery, here's one for you. One of my favorite moments of the entire night was at the very end when I think Michelle asked you guys, what are you going to do next? And you said, I ain't going to lie to you. We're going to go drink some beer. That was hilarious. Absolutely loved it. So what was the post championship celebration?
we ended up going across the road to the Top Golf, and we celebrated there and ran into the Georgia Southern boys, and so we hung out with them, and they partied with us, and we partied with them, and we had a couple of sore heads the next day leading into the team event. But it was great. It was great.
Can you believe that this happened to you guys? I mean, would you ever imagined that you'd be on ESPN playing cornhole and playing for a national championship in South Carolina?
Not at all. I mean, it was just a surreal moment. Like it just the moments after we're walking out to the parking lot and everything, and I was just telling like my brother, my girlfriend, I was just like, it feels like a dream. Like I can't believe what we just did. I mean, it was crazy, crazy.
We've
Right,
got
by
to
the way,
get. Go ahead.
Go
Jeff.
ahead. Well, I was just going to say on a serious note. By the way, before we go too much further, during the match, I've got to apologize to you because of what happened. There was just a moment of confusion where there was actually a violation that was
Right.
committed during the actual match. And I thought it was you who had touched the bags first, because on the broadcast you see you pick a bag up off of the board, but in fact it was actually who was it? It was actually Tyler Davis, who you were playing against, who had reached for the bags early, put them on the board, and then you just simply reached down and grabbed the bag that he had thrown on the board. So there was some confusion there. But man, you guys did it. So I'm sorry, because it looked like he was you. So I said, wow. I said, Avery just touched a bag. Well, the reason you touched it was because the other dude threw it on the board first.
Right.
So that was crazy. But great job by both of you guys to kind of refocus, get back into it, and then finish the deal.
Yeah, that was one that Angel had thrown off the side or off the back or whatever, and
Yeah,
he just picked it up and set it on the board, and then he started reaching and grabbing her others, and what is
and
it,
the round
Josh?
wasn't over yet. For those who don't know, the round wasn't over yet, and that's a
Right.
huge no-no. That's like probably. I mean, Bernie, you can speak to this. I mean, that's probably one of the few but major violations in the middle of a match. You cannot touch the bags at all under any circumstance when someone else still has a bag to throw.
Thankfully, they were all in the hole or off the board. Had bags been on the board, that would have been even worse of a mistake for them. So thankfully that didn't happen, because that would have been a huge issue in a round limited format as far as how the points would have gone. But quick, just want you guys to know, while the day after you won, while you were going through the teams competition, there were a few people tweeting from the University of South Carolina, folks involved with the football program, folks, not necessarily coaches, not necessarily folks paid by the school, but people that handle some of the message boards were shouting out, looks like we're a cornhole school too. I can't believe Dawn Staley hasn't reached out yet.
I know.
We actually had Dawn Staley as one of our Super Bowl contestants last year. And for those that don't know, she is the head coach, the head women's coach for basketball, one of the best teams in the country. So we have to make sure she reaches out to you guys.
That would be awesome. I mean, Dawn Staley, obviously, one of the most iconic figures in women's basketball in the entire country and in the entire world. I mean, she coached the women's Olympics team, and a championship program here in South Carolina. So that would be pretty awesome if she somehow managed to reach out and find out about it. So.
She was good too when she played Super Bowl.
Oh, she was competitive. She was competitive.
Yeah, she could actually play. So Angel, how did this whole thing start for you two guys? I mean, where did your cornhole journey start? Because I'm sure there are a ton of people out there at different universities. I mean, because we've seen it grow just in the 3 years that I've broadcast this tournament now. I've seen it grow, and we're to the point now where it's, I mean, one of the cool things in this sport, again, for those who don't know, whether you go to Trident Tech here in Charleston, South Carolina, which is a 2-year school, or you go to the University of South Carolina, whether it's a 2-year school or a Power 5 or anything in between, you can apply and you can win this thing. So it's getting harder and harder each year because you have so many schools. But where did this journey start for you guys? Like, how did you get interested in this?
Well, for me, it really started out, I got to give credit to my girlfriend's family, because once I met her, we started dating. I met her family, and I found out that her older brothers actually go and actually playing cornhole at their local church. And I found out that they were actually banned because they would win all the time every year. So
whoa. From a
new
church
member
league?
of like the family.
What church banned someone?
I wanted to make an impression on her brothers and her family, and I didn't want to lose to her older brothers in cornhole. So at first, obviously, they, beat me pretty bad. And then me, I'm just like a super competitive person. It doesn't matter if we're playing Monopoly on Christmas or, cornhole. I'm super competitive. So I took it really to heart, probably more than anyone else would have. And from there, I just started going to my local blind draw every week and then started traveling more and more. And then I realized, okay, we might have something here. And then 2 years later, fast forward, here we are, playing at probably as best as I can play right now, and obviously looking to get better every day. So
Avery, how did you start, and how did you and Angel end up hooking up to play together?
Well, the interest was peaked back in 2020 whenever COVID hit, and the only thing on ESPN was ACL broadcast, and then so that's what we would watch. And then my brother, he had gotten a set of ACL regulation boards, and he would show look at these bags, like they're dual sided, and the one's fast side, one's slow side, and piqued interest. And from there, it just blossomed into just finding out other people run blind draws, weekly blind draws, and then I ended up started running one, and that's where me and Angel had met. And so I guess last year, November of 2021, right? We had met, and we had been playing together, but wasn't really hanging out or playing with each other. And I knew that he went to University of South Carolina as well, and so I said, let's get together and just go to Myrtle Beach and try to compete in this thing. That was last year. Didn't do as well, but here we are this year after 1 year of being a partnership.
How has the sport grown on campus? Obviously, if you go to a football game and you walk around the tailgating lots, you're going to see people just throwing bags, kind of recreationally having a fun, drinking a beer. Nothing very serious. But is there now kind of a core group on campus that are playing, or are you guys kind of leading that charge?
I think we're honestly leading the charge. Obviously, at USC they have like an intramural type organization where you can sign up, pay a fee, and then you can compete against other people. Obviously, it's bring your own partner, and they have like your typical corn bags, and the boards are like maybe 20 feet instead of 27 feet. Yeah. So obviously, it's a little different, from what we're used to. But I think the biggest thing out of this weekend is hopefully trying to start. Maybe get USC on track or put them on notice to, maybe start like a club team, like, how these other schools have, like Adrian College, Oklahoma State, things like that. So we kind of want to be, like you said, Bernie, like the front runners to maybe, grow the program or grow a program into existence.
Yeah, I remember, dealing with the college program a couple of years when we were first getting started. It was funny to find out you would have some schools that were all in, right? Sounds great. University of Colorado, for example, they had 100 and some odd kids in their club program, and the school was very involved in helping them out. And then you would have other schools that kind of saw it as something people do when they're tailgating for a football game. It's not serious. We're not going to, get involved. And so we ran into that wall. But I think, as you see with a school like Adrian College, right, an actual paid head coach, an actual team. That's where we're all headed. That's what I'm saying. So one day, someone's going to be walking around on campus of the University of South Carolina, and they're going to go through the athletics office, and there's going to be a picture of you two guys as the ones that won the national title, and you're going to be like the godfathers of cornhole at South Carolina.
Yeah, the founding fathers.
Hey, Avery, do you guys feel some momentum at the university with cornhole, with the program?
Of course. I mean, like Angel was saying, it's just up from here. I guess I hope the other people can see, like, okay, like it's not just, as Bernie said, just not like a tailgate activity. Like, it's actual competitive, and there's benefits of it. Like, you can get on ESPN. Like, I never would have gotten on ESPN without it. More than likely, I don't have the ability to play any other sport, so it was just my only shot, and took.
So here's the big question: when are you going to get some NIL money for cornhole?
Well, Angel's going to be the only one that has a shot at that. I'm already graduated, so I graduated this past December, unfortunately.
What was social media like for both of you? Avery, I'll start with you. I mean, did your social media blow up? Were people watching? I
Oh,
mean, did a lot of people
insane.
know that you were there?
Yeah. I mean, we made sure to post about it leading up to it. I think the broadcast was Sunday night, and so we had a big watch party. Me and Angel were together, and just I don't know, 20 minutes after leaving, there was hundreds of notifications on Facebook and all different social media platforms, text messages. It was insane.
Angel, same for you, I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely. You know, wherever Avery was mentioned, you know, on Facebook, Instagram, whatever the case may be, my name was right there with it. You know, it was really awesome to see, you know, all the love and support from everyone, not just like, you know, in our general area, but all over the country. You know, we've had I think I read at one point people everywhere in Texas having watch parties, you know, watching us and supporting us. So that was really awesome to see. You know, it just goes to show the family that you can build in cornhole and how easy it is to, you know, make friendships and connections wherever you are or wherever you're from.
What direction would you like to? I mean, what could the ACL do, for example, to kind of help proliferate college cornhole? In your guys' opinions, just a random question I just thought of actually. Like what is something that we could do better? Do you think, as far as like getting more schools involved, and is there something we can do better?
I wish that there were more like year-round events. I know you. This year was the first year that they started with the open events, with including like the high school and
Yeah,
the collegiate level events, and so I feel like I mean, once this past the New Year's weekend passes, like you don't hear anything else about the collegiate cornhole level or the high school cornhole level until you get
yeah,
back to the next season in September.
yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
it's true.
And,
Yeah,
you know,
there's
right. And following off Avery there too, like, you know, just like he said, you know, once this weekend, you know, happens, you don't hear about it till way later on, almost towards the end of the year, and then it comes back. So I would say probably, you know, obviously Rome wasn't built in a day. So, you know, getting the ACL to, you know, incorporate, you know, these colleges to play in these national championships or other events would be it would obviously, you know, be a process. But I would say the best starting point, you know, would be just reaching out to these colleges, you know, showing, you know, maybe advertising on like a football, like Jumbotron, whatever. Like, you know, hey, you know, this is coming up in a few months. If you have students that are interested in competing, you know, have the school, you know, fund them, give them some scholarship money or some sponsorship money, you know, whatever the case may be. And then have them showcase their talents potentially on ESPN. So I think that would probably be a safe start for the
yeah.
AC.
Yeah, I really wish we could do, like college golf, for example. You'll
Mhm.
have these invitationals, and they'll be in, kind of spread out through the country. You won't just, you'll have your big national championship at the end of the year, and you have your conference events, but there'll be an invitational here and there, like one or two a month around the country that different schools will go to. And I wish we could get to that point where it would be just college invitationals. I mean, I'm glad that we put it in the opens, but I think sometimes the opens with all the professionals that are there can kind of scare people off in some ways. I mean, because there is still a pretty, there's a different in talent level. Like, as you guys know, you would still need another step up to get to the pro level, right? I mean, you're the talent's there. It's just more of a consistency thing, but that comes from throwing bag after bag after bag after bag. And so if we could get more of those invitationals, I'm just not sure how we could do it, but I was wanting to get your opinion, so it's something I could take back and use it as my own idea. So sorry, I'm stealing it.
so what about prize money? Like Bernie and Avery and Angel, like where's the prize money out for something like this? Did you guys get scholarship money? Like what do you get for something like this? And what are you going to do with it? Angel, I'll start with you.
Well, to be honest, we don't even know like the exact amount of what we won yet. I know there was kind of like a random number bouncing around. I was also asking some of the people last year that competed, you know, about what it was. As far as USC, from them, we didn't actually get anything. I mean, we basically like officially, um, represented them. And I don't think anyone at USC knew about it until after, you know, we won, which I mean, I'm very happy about because now, you know, like I said, it puts the school on notice, for, hey,
Yeah.
we're actually good at something else besides, like women's basketball and, rugby and all that stuff.
Hey, Bernie, didn't the Auburn guys end up getting rings?
Yes.
Wasn't Auburn? I think there was one of the schools ended up getting
Jacksonville
State.
When our original team champion was Jacksonville State University in Alabama.
They got
And
rings.
that school went above and beyond for those guys. Introduced them in the halftime of a basketball game in midcourt. Did all this stuff. Has their trophy sitting in the trophy case in the athletic building. All this stuff. So we were hoping more schools would get like that, but it's especially with the larger schools, your Power 5 schools. They're so used to being on ESPN and Fox Sports and things like that. It doesn't ring the same way for them as it does with, take an Adrian College that was there this past weekend. That's a huge deal for a school like that, right? But hopefully we can get the South Carolinas of the world. Now I'm sure you're going to get all kinds of emails and be pinged on social media from the intramural department. Hey, we want to do some stuff with you guys. So, maybe keep them at arm's length and just say, you're just so busy. You've got all these interviews you have to do.
Right. I'm just wanting them to light up the capstone on campus. They have the capstone they light up whenever something big happens for the university, and they just garnet it, and it's just fantastic. So I'm hoping that they'll do that in honor of us, but we'll just have to see.
Love that idea. So you guys, I got to be honest with you. I mean, we talk during the broadcast all the time on the pro side about how difficult it is, even for the pros, to deal with the pressure on national TV under the lights. Tanner Halbert's a name that I'm sure both of you are very familiar with, one of the top 10 players in the world. He even went so far during one of our interviews last year to say even the heat of the lights is something that you have to deal with when you're on stage. You guys handled that, and I'm not just saying this because you're on with us right now. I thought you guys handled it with such great poise, and really, you guys were kind of lost in the game. Like even when there was that when there was that foul by Oklahoma State, you guys still stayed locked in, and it's almost like you weren't. It's like the moment of being on national TV wasn't even at the top of your head. So I love to ask other players about this. And Avery, I'll go to you first. Did you play other sports? I mean, did you play football? Did you play basketball? Like, did that help you at all? Keep your poise during the match.
Yeah, I played baseball. I mean, since I was 5, and never at like a tremendously high level. I mean, I went to a 1A school, so there was never thousands of people there to watch. So this was really the first time that lights were on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But as far as once we got into it, maybe a little bit of nerves. If you go back and watch, I think I threw like a 6 again in our first game, and there were some nerves there for sure. But after that, we settled in. I know I did. Felt like I settled in, and it was just another game at just a different venue, basically.
How about
Angel,
you,
what'd
Angel?
you think about it? Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. I would be lying if I said, I didn't feel any nerves because, I don't know, how can you not feel nerves, being your first time on a broadcast court, playing in front of, thousands and thousands of people. Obviously, a lot of people in the stands. Since we were local, we knew a lot of those people there. So like I said, I'd be lying if I said there was no nerves. There absolutely was. But I feel like after we got that first win, we were pretty much on cruise control from there. And even like you said, Jeff, with the whole situation with the bags in the championship game, we knew what we were trying to achieve, and we didn't lose focus. And I think that's ultimately what led to the success that we had.
Did you play other sports too, Angel?
I did, yes. So in high school and pretty much all my life, I played soccer. Big soccer guy. I played, travel soccer, club soccer. Played it in high school. Obviously football down here in the South is a big thing at any level. So we had full stadiums. We're one of the bigger schools in the area. And I was the kicker. So as you can imagine, the kicker already has enough spotlight because they have a whole play dedicated for them, so it's not like, the offensive linemen where people just kind of oversee what they do, as a kicker, everyone's got their eyes on you when you're on the field. So, it was nothing new having a lot of eyes. But obviously, a different situation, this being the biggest stage ever of my sports life up to this point. Definitely different, but I feel like we handled it really well.
So back to Jeff's question about nerves. Was it more nerve-wracking when you first thought to yourself, man, we might win this thing? Was it more nerve-wracking the last 2 rounds when you realized we could actually win this? Or was it more nerve-wracking when the championship match kicked off?
I feel, to be honest with you, the most nerves I felt was the game on the ACL Network game.
Okay.
That was because the crowd was packed in, and it felt like everybody was like right on top of you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was and you knew like what was at stake to get to the broadcast. And so in my head, which I had told Angel going in, like, let's just make it there, and everything else it's just gravy after that, and we'll just see what happens. And so that's kind of how it was for me. I
Interesting.
don't know about Angel.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. The first nerves really kicked in at that point when we played on the ACL digital network court. Because like he said, you've got everyone all around, and it's not like the broadcast where you've got, the bright lights. So it's kind of hard to see, all the people around. You've got basically just, you're focused on the court the whole time. You've got people, all the fans yelling in one ear, and then you've got, obviously, credit to you guys, the commentators. I remember before you'd be able to hear Trey yelling like, "Oh, 4-bagger wins it."
Speak for yourself. I heard everything.
So yeah, so it was, apart from like, and obviously, I didn't hear. I have the headphones in the whole time, which I think also helped me as well. Playing just calming, relaxing music. Basically blocking everything out, just focusing on the game. But the nerves kicked in there for sure. And then once we got to ESPN, there were still nerves. Wasn't as bad, but then like I said, after we won that first game, we were like, all right, now that we've settled in, it's time to go to work, and that's what we did.
All right, we've only got a minute left. So Avery, I guess your eligibility in cornhole is up. So Angel, are you going to make a run at it again next year? Are you going to turn pro? What are you going to do? Like, what are your future plans?
I think we just got to see what happens. We still got a lot of season to go, all the way till Worlds. I might, obviously the goal is to get better. If I do, I'll maybe give a shot at the pro qualifier. Why not? If I don't make it, if I do make it, obviously that's great. If I don't, then we'll give it a run next year again, and hopefully, maybe a repeat. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe you should talk Avery into going to graduate school. But get a red shirt.
We've already had that conversation.
Let me tell you, graduate school for engineering, no, thank you.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations to you guys and to South Carolina. Not just a football school, not just women's basketball. Oh no, they are doubles cornhole champions. So awesome!
Spurs up.
Guys. Congratulations.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank y'all for having us.
All right, stay in touch, guys. Congrats.
Sure.
Wow, it was a lot of fun talking to those guys.
Yeah, it's it's such a different viewpoint on cornhole. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's all kind of glowing and happy, and we don't get that sometimes with the pros because it's so intense for them. So that's awesome to see those guys.
I think that's the same with other sports too, right? Whether it's basketball or whether it's football. There's just so much enthusiasm. I mean, look at baseball. Like college baseball, so exciting, right? I mean, the dugouts are just electric. So,
yeah.
Well, again, congratulations, both those guys. Great job. What a run. And again, how about the SEC? 3 straight years now. Auburn,
how about
Tennessee, and South Carolina.
How about it? It's funny going back. How much time do we have? We don't really have time to say it. But, once upon a time, I thought it was going to be small schools that kind of dominated this because it would seem more important. Never the case. It's always the big schools, man.
It started with some small schools, and now it's the Power Fives dominating, at least on the double side. So
yeah.
All right, brother. Have a good week. Great job this weekend. Good to see you. I'll talk to you again. Okay. Bye, everybody.